Lions just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right, a company that rooms with Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan.
Your
Good
roomie.
morning, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. You're up a little bit earlier than you thought you would be?
Yeah, we had a recording snafu. No, I'd be up anyways, but
You just weren't ready to talk. Home
I wasn't ready to talk. I woke up at about, I think I was up by about 7:40 or so watching this episode of Home Improvement. Not how I love to spend my Fridays, but, anything for the podcast, anything for our great fans. So.
Yeah, and the best part is that really you had an extra hour on your hands, but there was a little bit of miscommunication. When you work in two different time zones, just this stuff is going to happen. So.
Yeah, and I know people like to have sort of a peek behind the curtain, and the time zone thing is just something that we constantly have to face. It is a real obstacle. It's probably the number one thing working against the podcast. It's just the hour time difference we have. No, it's no big deal. Jordan, we'll be done earlier, and then I will continue my day as is. And you're gonna have to forgive me if I'm kind of sipping on my my morning Joe, my morning fix, if you will. Just trying to get some Java in my system. So forgive me if you hear some slurps. I will try to be polite. Jordan, you're not a coffee guy, are you?
No, actually, I've never really had it. I hate the smell, and a lot of people like the smell. So I can only imagine how much I would hate the taste.
You're not a coffee guy. You're not a booze guy.
No. I like iced tea.
What are your vices, Jordan? You don't do methamphetamines.
No, I don't. I don't know what my vices are. I guess, just good old-fashioned exercise, and, no. I mean, I can get lost in some video games or watching too much sports or something like that,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, the dark web. You get deep in the internet, you just get lost in there, things like that.
Yeah, you'll never know what you can find there on torrenting sites or Daily Motion videos.
Fake news, man. It's taken this country by storm.
I wanted to say you're recording in a new location.
Got a new studio space. Yeah,
it's still a secret place. No one will know where it is, but it is different.
I don't want anyone to know where it is. It's called Lakeside Studios because the new street I'm on is called Lakeside Drive.
There's a hint.
And yeah, that's a hint for people that are trying to figure out where exactly I'm at now. No, it's we just moved into a nice new apartment. I got a nice window view. I'm looking out at a parking lot and a Coca-Cola bottling plant. So there's a slice of America.
Whoa.
This episode is not sponsored by Coca-Cola though. I also see a couple car dealerships and some trees. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I got a nice little nook here. Nice. It's my new studio space and I'm feeling good about it. So.
Yeah, I think you sound better already.
The acoustics?
Yeah, I think so.
When we met with various leasing agents and realtors, I said first thing, I said, this place needs to have kind of tall ceilings for the acoustics for my Home Improvement podcast.
And they said, what is that?
And she said, yeah, I'm a listener. I wrote you one of your 12 iTunes reviews. So they all said that, so one of them must have been lying. But nope, the move was good. Moving, as you know, and anyone that's ever done it, it's an exhausting process, and we're still kind of working on settling in. But we got nice new digs in a nice new area, and
nice.
Yeah, and this semester started as well relatively recently, so it's been busy times for both of us, definitely.
Yeah, and I think I noted before, a strange coincidence, I had been like right down the street at a conference before of where you live now, which
I mean like 3 minutes away from where I live.
Strange.
So it is strange. The question is, will you come back?
Will I come back? I hope to.
Right.
Although you've got things that'll make me sick. You got some kitties.
Yeah. And I have other things that'll make you sick too. We don't want to talk about those.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that
I
make
was gonna
people
say,
sick, Jordan, can you go ahead and cue those grunts?
Sure, it's all safe to me. Oh, no.
Now it's time for Bits of Wisdom.
This week's bit of wisdom comes from the Tim Allen text, I'm Not Really Here. The chapter is entitled 10. Yet no matter how one conceives of death, who could be entirely comfortable contemplating it? No matter how I rationalize it, the realization that I'm not going to live forever bothers me. Unfortunately, the more I think about death, the more I realize there's not a damn thing I can do about it, no matter how much I worry. This has been your bit of wisdom.
I like that.
Not nihilist. He's a nihilist. That would have been one that Dracula should have read because he's like the Prince of Darkness and kind of.
But he wouldn't have died, so I don't know if he would have really felt that emotion.
He kills, he kills people. It was, it was just so nice of him to stop by last week.
I know. We got to send him some memorabilia or something.
I know. We got to send him some swag. Maybe we'll, we don't get a lot of business on the Patreon account. Maybe we'll send him one of those posters that we've promised people that give more than $10 a month. I feel like Drac could really use that in his Transylvania castle.
Yeah, he'll get it laminated and framed, and it'll be there forever.
Say, Jordan, you afraid of death?
No, I'm just super excited about it. What a weird. I did like that one though, because at the end he said I shouldn't worry about it.
That is true. You're right.
What are you gonna do about it?
There is no point worrying about it. Mm-mm. You're absolutely right. Oh man, what are we covering this week, Jordan?
We're doing episode 31, Roomie for Improvement. So get excited for the word roomie. We might say it a few times.
This is kind of what I was thinking. This is sort of a hangover episode in that last week we reached the heights of which this podcast is seldom ever seen. In this next episode, I'm not saying it's bad, but it sure as heck is not Haunting of Taylor House.
You definitely don't want to put it up next to it. Put them side by side. But unfortunately they did, and we're going to have to here. So, but it is a Billy Ryback joint, which we always like that.
Do we know if that's good or bad? I feel like it's generally bad. I don't remember who writes what.
I used to take into account which previous episodes they did. But I've kind of stopped doing that because it just seemed it's a lot of repeating, and I'm not sure it gave any value. But I still like saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it every time Billy Ryback does it. But
and no one's going to stop you.
It aired on November 4th, 1992, so now we're out of October. I didn't see any plot keywords. Did you see any plot keywords?
That's a good question, Jordan.
Because if not, that means we get to come up with them.
No plot keywords. I wonder why they're so inconsistent.
I don't know. We'll fill them out for them.
All
so,
right. Plot keywords. You wanna try for some, or you wanna wait on that?
Let's try it now. We did before, so we'll give everyone a preview.
All right. I would say. And we said that there's no rules in terms. You can say as many words as you want. Apparently, let's say up to 3 words. I'll say
chickenpox.
Okay, chickenpox. I'll say racing or race car drivers.
Nice.
Race car drivers. Yeah, I think that works.
Roomie.
Roommate. Yeah. Sugar.
Oh, nice. I like that one. Barbecue crickets.
Lubricant.
Sounding more and more strange as we go. Hammock.
Square dance?
Oh, I like it.
Square dancing?
Square dancing?
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Question mark? Alright, that's good. That's
good enough.
That's a preview of what you're going to get here.
Yeah, I think a little teaser.
Yeah, a little teaser. And I'll give you a little bit more of a teaser here with the plot synopsis by Tony Topola. It's a shorter one, which is appreciated by me. So, in Tool Time, it's Tool Time Salute to Lubricants. Michael and Mario Andretti are going to make an appearance on the show. At home, Mark has the chicken pox, and Tim has never had it, which means that Tim has to move to Al's place for a while, which means Tim finds out the answers to questions he never wanted to ask.
It doesn't mean that.
That's the
dumb part about this episode is it doesn't really mean that. But and that was that Tony Topola?
Tony Topola.
Tony Topola must have had a meeting or an appointment or something. Keep that one pretty short.
He had to rush out.
First, a big question before we start, Jordan. Where's Brad?
He's no
Brad.
Was there any Randy either? Really?
I mean, one scene of Randy, but Brad doesn't appear at all.
Yeah, Brad is nursing like his relationship with Jennifer after their rough like last couple weeks, so he's got to spend some extra time with her. He's probably
they're out at some leather shop picking out biker gear for.
I was thinking they're at some sort of like gala with Jennifer's parents.
Yeah. Well, no Brad in this episode, and that is part of the trivia, which is really fun trivia. So thanks IMDb for continuing to deliver things that anyone could notice. I feel like people on IMDb don't know the difference between like trivia and just like common observations. Brad does not appear in this episode. Yeah, I know. It's not like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. All right, Roomie for improvement. Billy Ryback joint. Tony Topola. We ready to start?
Yeah, let's open on Tool Time because it's Auto Week. And we're kind of at the end of the show here. We talk about next time the Andretti brothers will be on. The crowd's super excited about that. And apparently they're Al's racing heroes. Al gets a lot of heroes on the show.
I feel like everyone that appears on the show is like a hero or someone that is beloved by Al. So, yeah.
He just loves everyone, maybe. But, I don't know, some jokes about Al's mother come up again. Something about his flannel shirt, and it used to be hers, and Al takes offense to that, saying that she dresses very tastefully, which I don't know if I believe or not. But they move on to the salute to lubricant. There is a 6-cylinder engine there. Tim's going to pretend that his arms are pistons, and he puts his arms in a couple of the cylinders there, and Al locks him in. And, he does a little demonstration and says, the pistons are stuck and they need lubricant. And then Al stalls when Tim wants to get out, saying that he wouldn't want to get, any motor oil on his shirt. So he goes backstage, which leaves Tim in quite the predicament.
Tim also makes a joke about the Detroit Pistons being stuck in the playoffs in the previous season. And I did a little bit of research here. And
they won the championship?
No, because, well...
2 years before that.
2 years before. They went back-to-back in 89 and then 90, but 91-92 season, which I assume that's what we're talking about.
That's what I was thinking, too.
They went 48-34, and they ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs, it looks like. So
they reached their top, and they came down.
And they were down for a little bit after that, so... not super interesting. The Bulls went 67-15 that year. Wow,
MJ baby.
I guess that's the height of the.
That was MJ taking over.
The Cavaliers went 57-25. Who
was
would have
that?
been on that? Who would have been on the Cavaliers in 1992?
Craig Elo, Mark Price, maybe. That was probably the shot that they always show where Michael Jordan goes across the lane.
Oh yeah, where he like crosses him over and then Elo. Yeah, you're right.
That might be that year. Okay. They were okay.
Yeah,
they just couldn't beat Michael. I mean, I think that was the first of his 6 championships. So.
Yeah, except for when he left the league for 2 years because he wanted to play baseball, but really I think he had some gambling debts or something.
Well, his father was also murdered in that time, so I think he had a lot going on.
I don't apologize for him.
I always will.
Right.
So next scene, I guess, unless you want to keep talking about the cold open.
Al leaves Tim stuck. He goes off set and watches him from a television, like a prompter, and then it just kind of fades out. As far as cold opens go, it's fine. It sets up the Andrettis are coming. Tim and Al are like not getting along especially well, which sort of then forces Al or makes Al think that he needs to do something nice to Tim because he feels bad about what he did. So I guess it serves the plot. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we transition into the homestead, and Mark has chicken pox. And Mark's acting in this episode. He has some really he really hangs on his words. This scene, he's like, "Oh man," he's like doing a Steve Urkel impression.
Yeah.
And
he's kind of happy about the chicken pox. I see later on, but we'll get to that.
He's parlaying it to get some ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Tim's never had chicken pox, so he has to move out, which is what this whole episode's built around, and I just don't know if that really makes sense to me.
It's highly infectious.
I understand that,
and it's very dangerous for adults.
It is very dangerous for adults.
If you've never had it for adults,
did you do some research?
I've known, I've heard that. No, I've heard that, and then I did some Googling to figure out, why that is. Mm-hmm. But apparently, if you get it as an adult, there's a lot of complications that are much more likely to happen. But when you're a kid, you don't really have that issue. So
Okay, so you're saying that maybe it did make sense for him to go to a hotel or stay somewhere else.
I think so. I think it was. I mean, it's a highly infectious thing too, so it's not like you could quarantine him off into a room. Maybe just seems like it would be better served if you left for a couple of days and then came back.
Because to me, it seemed like he was sort of just being a baby. But I don't know.
But you had chickenpox when you were younger, didn't you?
I mean, I actually don't know. I would assume.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't remember.
Really?
Why would I remember that?
I do remember that. I remember at one point, for some reason, like I must have been like had a really bad fever because fevers are associated with it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I thought there was like a hole in my foot, so it was messing with my brain.
I think you had something worse than chickenpox.
Yeah, I still haven't ever recovered. So.
Yeah. So Tim has to move out to avoid the chickenpox. This is the only scene where JTT is in it. Jill wants Randy to get them. She tells him to go kiss his brother. He makes a joke about getting married. Because I guess she figures it's better for him to get it while it's young for the reasons you just kind of said. Tim wants to get a hotel, but Jill reveals that Al has called and says that he wants Tim to stay at his apartment because he feels bad about the lubricant thing that happened. And then Jill says, I don't even want to know what that's about. But
boom.
The scenes here are pretty short, so we can just keep on moving.
Yeah, and Tim kind of runs outside because Mark comes downstairs.
Right, yeah.
So he's actively avoiding at this point.
Yeah, he is. Head out to the fence. Wilson is barbecuing grasshopper. He's doing grasshopper and cricket kebabs. Wilson has chains at his disposal. He's doing these cricket kebabs.
He also subscribes to the Aftermath newsletter.
I don't get that joke.
It's like a doomsday thing.
Is it real?
I don't know. I'm gonna Google it right now. It probably is.
I heard the joke and I heard the fake laughter, but I didn't really get it.
The thing that first comes up is a mathematics newsletter.
Aftermath.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what it is.
Once you've learned fractions, this is next. Pythagorean's theorem and such. All right, well.
To me, it was a doomsday prepper joke.
Do we want to play a clip here? This is such an inconsequential scene.
No, let's just keep going.
This is we should pause for a second. This is the first time we're not playing a Wilson clip, so R.I.P. to the norm, Wilson says that honesty is the best policy and that he should just tell Al that he doesn't want to stay there. Mm-hmm. It's probably like a 20... maybe 10-second fence scene.
Very quick.
And then Al just kind of emerges through the side yard, which I didn't even know was an option. I've never.
Yeah, well, we've seen the boys come through.
I guess
before.
The boys come through there, but I assumed like those were just the boys were kind of working their way through the shrubbery. But Al comes up and Tim and Al are talking, and Tim tells Al, I don't want to stay with you. Al looks very sad, and then he adds the "for very long. I don't want to put you off." Al assures him that it's not going to be a problem. He made a key with Tim's initials on it. He's got a bunch of things planned. He's very excited about it.
He already put Tim's bags in his car. I mean, I don't know. This is just very strange. Why would you come up through the side yard? Why wouldn't you come through the door like a normal person? I guess the only explanation is that Al has not had the chickenpox either. I don't know.
Maybe. He says, too, he was coming up the driveway and he met Jill coming down. How long's this driveway? I envision, don't they just live in a subdivision?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's super long. So.
What? Billy Ryback, he just is not connecting the dots.
No.
This is typical. And he listens to the show, so, I mean, yeah, Billy, come on.
It's a little late for him to do anything about it, though.
I don't know. I'm a firm believer it's never too late.
Okay. Well, the next dot that he tries to connect is
fails to connect.
Yeah, he's at Al's apartment. We see Al lives in like a very 90s studio apartment. He's got a hammock in there. He's got a couch. He's got one little like closet, and it's got about 8 or 9 probably flannel shirts. So my theory is that Al is a minimalist. Mm-hmm. And then my next question is, why does Al have only a studio apartment in his 30s? It's not like he's like a 20-something who's trying to get on his feet. He's got student loans or something.
It is strange. I don't know. It's a big studio apartment too. And they don't like make note that it's a studio, but yeah, he gives Tim the two options of sleeping, and it's the hammock or the couch. Or he says Tim will sleep on the couch and he'll sleep on the hammock. But it's like a big place, and you noted that it looks 90s-ish, but I would say like it's early 90s, so it like still looks like something out of the 80s. It's like a wood, but it's also, is it turquoise or kind of a dark blue?
It's a little bit.
It's a little bit of both
It's
of those.
greenish, yeah.
He's minimalist in terms of his, like sleeping options and his shirts, but he's got a lot of other junk around there. So I don't know. It's not a very nice place, and yeah, you'd think maybe Al would want to opt for a bedroom, as he's 35, 36 probably. So yeah, it is strange.
But perhaps he lives there for his neighbors.
Perhaps.
But we should talk a little bit more about as they first enter. I mean, Al laughs at Tim's jokes now that they're roomies. He thinks he's funny, so the paradigms shift a little bit there. Al has a framed photo of a world-class square dance caller.
You talking Gordy Hawkins?
Talking Gordy Hawkins. So yeah, this episode really sets up Al and Wilson to just be very strange characters on the show.
Yeah, they don't. Well, the Wilson stuff always kind of makes sense, I guess, because it's consistent. But with Al, it's like half the time he's just like in this episode, like he's just like a loser, kind of. I mean, I feel like when you come to this apartment, you're supposed to think like, oh, this guy is just like, I don't know, like infantilized, or just, I don't know, he doesn't get it. But then sometimes he's like very capable and almost cool. I don't know. I don't know. Al in these early seasons is a character that I don't quite understand, but whatever. Yeah.
So doorbell's gonna ring, and it is one of those neighbors that we talked about. It's Cynthia, and Cynthia needs some sugar.
Mm-hmm. Cynthia does. She needs some sugar. Cynthia, she's fine. She's fine. Tim refers to her as a beautiful woman. So I guess I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
What does she have in her hair? What is that called? She's got one of those like little rags, basically like a pocket square, but for I guess wearing in your hair. I got all tied up there. She's got like
a rag in your hair that is like, what are you talking about?
You go ahead and look at it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Like something, like the Rosie the Riveter. Do you remember
a bandana?
Yes, bandana. I could not think of the word for some reason.
Good thing you brought it up then.
Yeah.
She comes in, and it's obvious that she likes Al. And Al is he's amicable, but he's not giving her much more than he has to.
And why?
She asked for the old cup of sugar routine.
Al gives her sugar, but not in the kind that she would like.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna say sugar packets, but yeah, you're right. She's not giving him the right kind of sugar. And Jordan, this is a move out of your like high school days, right? The old cup of sugar routine. You used to do this
Is it? Did I?
Yeah. I remember you'd always like go just to people's houses and ask the ladies for cups of sugar for your cakes you were making them.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I'd be happy to believe you if you produce some sort of evidence.
You buried it like your Christmas play.
No, I did one time in college. I had a couple friends over, and one of my friends decided to go to a neighboring apartment and ask for sugar, but he brought like a strainer, so the sugar would have just went through the strainer. It was very, very strange, but I think it was on purpose. I hope it was on purpose.
Sounds like your college friends are a lot less cool than your high school friends.
This is a friend that we both know very well.
Oh no! All right, well, I guess I shouldn't dwell anymore. Cynthia is played by Deborah Engel. Deborah Engel. She has 22 credits to her name, so she's not a lot of acting in comparison to some that we see. She hasn't done much of late. Her last credit was on an episode of Crossing Jordan in 2002. She comes back in another episode of Home Improvement 7 years later as receptionist. That's a weird thing we keep seeing, where people come back years later in different roles. I'm not sure how that necessarily works. She appeared in Blossom, Golden Girls, Family Ties, and she was in a TV movie called Badlands 2005 as Joni Valentine.
Oh, so, Joni.
I think we should watch Badlands 2005 next Christmas. Just
Christmas. Why don't we just do it for? Well, what do you think that movie's about? Is there a holiday that would really fit with that theme? I doubt it's Christmas.
We should have done it for the Trump inauguration.
Badlands.
Alright.
So yes, we learned that Cynthia stops by every day.
For 3 years, she's been stopping by. Al doesn't want to take advantage of her, though.
Yeah, she's on the rebound.
Yeah. But that doesn't really add up either, because, like, he says she's vulnerable, and then later on she says, I've been stopping by for 3 years, so come on, Billy.
Who's Billy?
Billy Ryback.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot.
Tim wants to go to Big Mike's Tavern and get a couple of
Why wouldn't he?
Slinkies.
It's been weeks since we've heard of Big Mike's.
I want to go to Big Mike's Tavern. I'm hungry. But Al has a night planned. He's got a roast. Does he have a roast in today, or is it the next day?
I think it's in today. It's in the crock pot or something.
He's got a roast in, and he's got some entertainment. And Tim says, what do you got, Roadrunner, Terminator, or the Stooges?
Which of those three would you pick?
Which one of those doesn't fit?
I guess the Terminator, huh?
No, Roadrunner.
Why?
Well, why would Tim want to watch Roadrunner?
He's funny, you know? Wile E. Coyote.
But instead, Al has 17 years of his life on 12 8-hour cassette tapes. Oof. And he shows all of them, and yeah, it's Tim's got a night ahead of him, doesn't he?
This is like everything that you would hate.
Me?
Because this is the opposite of what you would ever do with someone, because you never like talking about yourself or things that you've done or showing things that you've done. And Al is like all about like, this is my life. I want you to know about me.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, I'm a selfless guy, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, okay, well, good.
You give and give and give.
Yeah. I'll say. We head home, and Mark wants ice cream. Mom, can I have some ice cream?
Oh,
it itches bad.
He's laying on the couch. He's got a giraffe and cow kitchen mittens, or
I don't know what it is. Yeah, he's wearing some gloves that look like giraffes and cows. It's really cool. Tim comes to see Jill. They meet in the side yard because, again, he can't go inside. And he just kind of complains about the whole thing. And he does note that he recorded Al's snores, which will come back later. And then Jill says that Tim snores, which will also come back later. And they've decided to move to a hotel. That's really the whole scene.
Yep, that's it. She said they decide he's going to go get a hotel. I forget the hotel name, but she'll join him later. So who's going to be watching The Boys? That's what I'm wondering.
Wilson, they said.
Oh, Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. But
I don't know if I want him there.
I don't really know that I want
Wilson
around The Boys. They're gonna come home, 3 pages into an Aftermath magazine, talking about grasshopper kebabs and whipping chains at each other. But yeah, hey, let's have him babysit. Sure.
So back on Tool Time, the long-awaited debut of the Andrettis. Al and Tim have some nice racing jackets on. They bring them out on the show. They chat a little bit about the challenges of racing, and they give some unexpected answers. I think he asked like, "What's the hardest thing to do on the racetrack?" And you would expect it to be like turning at hundreds of miles an hour, but it's changing the radio.
Yeah,
I doubt they play.
It's freaking funny.
I doubt they play the radio while they're racing, but
it's really funny. It's just good. That's just good writing. I got to talk about these Andretti dudes.
It sounds like you don't want to.
Yeah, man, I gotta talk about these guys. All right, so Mario Gabriele Andretti. He is the father. Michael is the son, much like The Godfather. Mm-hmm. He won one championship in 1978. I can't really make sense of any of this. He has
it's a different language.
He has 12 wins, and he was active from 1968 to 1972 and 1974 to 1982. And I don't know. That's about it, I guess.
He's a racing legend.
In American popular culture, his name has become synonymous with speed. So I guess like that is the highest praise you could give to someone. All right.
Actually, someone ever, or
yeah, I mean, I guess that's always kind of been my goal to have the name Adam be synonymous with speed. His son, Michael Mario Andretti, he has 42 wins, and he debuted in 1983. And
what's his name synonymous with?
They're not mentioning that on this on this one. He won a championship title in 1991, and he is also a legend, according to Wikipedia. All right, third thing I want to talk about is something called the Andretti Curse, which has its own Wikipedia entry. So,
oh boy,
seems important. The Andretti Curse, sometimes referred to as Andretti luck, is a superstition in reference to a seemingly perpetual string of bad luck the Andretti racing family has experienced in their efforts to win the Indianapolis 500. Similar to other sports-related curses, the Andretti Curse is a considered tongue. There's a typo. It's considered a tongue-in-cheek reference, popularized and often sensationalized in racing circles by media, particularly during the month of May at Indy. So apparently these guys did a lot of losing and now they're cursed. And it gives a lot of years and stuff. So
only in that big race, though, it sounds like. It sounds like they just couldn't get over the hump.
They couldn't win Indy. Just like, and Indy's a big race. We remember the gag way back in the day.
It is the race.
It's the race, the Indy 500, taking place, of course, Jordan, Indianapolis.
Of course.
Of course. All right.
I would say neither of us are big racing fans. Let's just throw that out there.
Hold off on that until the end if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, great background there on the Andrettis. We see that Al is kind of a brown noser, just like he was for Bob Vila. He just loves the Andrettis and is all about them, basically, for them being on the show. And then Tim has come up with a game, which he likes to do with these guys. It's an engine. You're going to tell whatever the engine is by the noise in like 2-second clips, which is crazy to me. But so he plays a couple of clips from Klaus, the sound guy he got. He got that stuff taken care of for him.
Have we heard of Klaus before?
Klaus is everywhere. It just seems like I've heard of Klaus.
I feel like I have too, but I did know. I have a question about Klaus, but I don't know. Must be he's just part of the crew,
He's the sound guy.
Yep. All
right. So they play 2-second clips, and the Andretti family seems to know their engines, and then Al chimes in, and he seems to know his engines. So at the end of the scene, basically, the Andrettis are impressed, and they wouldn't mind having Al on their crew, but they would not want Tim on their crew.
Yeah, they want Tim on Danny Sullivan's crew. It's either Danny or Denny. I don't know.
A competitor, we can guess. So.
Yeah.
And then Al gets to play the final round of this game, and instead of playing an engine, we play that snoring clip that Tim recorded earlier.
And they can't get it. They're like, Al says, something's in the carburetor.
Oh.
And I'm like, what's a carburetor? And Al is embarrassed, and that's about it. Then we transition to the homestead. Tim comes in, and Al is miffed, expectedly so. And this is the old married couple act that we've seen a few times on Home Improvement at this point. Al's mad, and Tim is kind of.
And when you say the homestead, you mean Al's homestead, right?
Al's homestead, yep.
Yep.
Al's, I guess. It's a homestead to Al. It's just an apartment to the rest of us. But Al's mad at Tim. Tim says he's going to go to a hotel. Al thinks it's a good idea. And then Tim kind of starts to backtrack a little bit because he feels bad about the whole thing. So he says he'll stay, but Al goes ahead and puts his bags and stuff outside.
Oh
man, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, he embarrassed Al on the show in front of a couple of his idols, which I imagine he has about a list of 500 idols. So it's probably possible he could have done that.
False idols,
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. I tell you.
Yeah, the parallels are being drawn.
I didn't see it, but I think that's part of it.
Sure. So, anyways, like you said, he takes the bags outside, and Tim tries to work it out here. I mean, Cynthia walks by, and Tim is knocking on the door, and she just kind of hears things that don't sound right to her.
Well, it's the old Three's Company gag where it's you have two people in a room looking at a man and a woman and looking at a big watermelon in the kitchen, then somebody else in the living room, and someone will say, I've never seen one that big before, and then the person in the living room's like, oh my gosh, they're talking about something sexual. It's that kind of gag,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
the old watermelon gag, I call it.
I mean, I didn't know that's what it was called, but
no, it's that kind of thing. It's that sort of humor. He's saying what does he say? Something about Al says you shouldn't have recorded me in bed. It's all sounding very sexual, and they themselves are lovers. And I could see this playing pretty well in 1992.
Sure. I mean, it certainly confuses Cynthia, and she wants to get out of the hallway as soon as possible.
Yeah, she thinks that they're lovers, and Tim kind of explains the whole situation. He says, "Yeah, I've got a son at home with chickenpox. I'm staying here," and then he uses her to get inside the apartment. So
Cynthia knocks on the door, and he slips in as the door opens. And I also wanted to say, Al says here that he wanted to have Tim over so they could get to know each other and become better friends, which is not what he says at the start of the episode. He does it because he feels bad.
Well, maybe it's a little bit of both, Jordan. Al's a complex guy.
He certainly is.
Then, Tim does slip inside, and I think this is where we're going to play our lone clip of the day.
Go away, Tim!
Al, it's me.
Aha! I was opening the door for Cynthia, not for you.
Al, Tim said some really sweet things about you.
I didn't even tell her all of them. Remember the time at work? We had the lathe going, I got my tie in it.
Tim.
No thought of his safety, yanks me out, saves my life. And the router had a router going, the safety broke.
Tim.
Goes over a table, he saves my life pulling the plug out.
Really?
And there's more. Do you remember the time you jumped in front of that speeding semi-truck
Tim.
and saved the elderly nun?
You did?
Cynthia, the story about the nun is nothing that I usually talk about.
And he wouldn't because he's so modest. I'm sure he doesn't want me to tell you this, but without Al, I couldn't do Tool Time. Well, I could, but it'd be tough.
Tool Time is your show?
Tool Time is our show.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, I guess I should be going.
Would you like to stay for dinner?
Would you like to stay for dinner?
That would be lovely. I'll get the cake I made for dessert.
Great.
Right. I'm sorry, was that router bit pushing it?
Oh, no, that was a nice touch. The nun was pushing it.
What do you think I can do to help? I think I'm gonna get out of here.
Oh, well, listen, you could stay the night.
I think in the interest of our friendship, I better skedaddle, all right? You two have a good time and enjoy your dinner.
We will. Chicken, nice and hot, and home movies you like a lot.
All right, so Tim really steps up to the plate for Al here. He sets the whole thing up, and he gets Cynthia to stay for dinner, and then he of course slips out at the end. He notes that he lets Al take credit for the show, and he says that Tool Time's actually their show. He couldn't do it without Al. He notes a story about Al saving a nun from a semi-truck, something along those lines. He builds Al up, and then he leaves. And, it ends on a good note. Al is happy to be with Cynthia, and Tim finally gets something nice for his pal.
They get to have dinner together,
Yeah, they get to have dinner. She goes and gets her cake, and it's all's well that ends well.
Yeah, I will say that as Tim leaves, and Cynthia and Al are going to have dinner, Al puts on the square dance music. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out.
I think he's singing that.
Is he? Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure because he notes, having chicken ready, and, in the lyrics, it's, having chicken ready and having, videotapes to show.
You say it like it's better that he's singing it.
Equally bad? I don't know.
I think it might be worse.
This is just a Greta Post thing where he just can't stay out of his own way because she comes inside and he immediately puts on that music. It's like, Al, can you just play it cool for, I don't know,
10
a
seconds?
minute? Yeah, and so here's another. I mean, we know she's not coming back until she has her famed turn as receptionist in 1999. So this is another relationship that Al has just ruined.
Yep.
Al has a girlfriend at some point, though.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Eileen? Is that her name? Or is that her
yeah,
mom?
I think they get married. Well, we'll get there.
Spoiler.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll get there in 2 years.
Maybe. So the final scene ish is
Jordan, not the final scene.
I don't care about outtakes anymore. So at home, Tim and Jill are finally at home, and Mark must be better. They're spooning on the couch for some reason, and they are exhausted.
What do you mean for some reason? They're in love.
Oh, well, why didn't they just go up to the bedroom?
They're too tired. That's the whole thing they're setting up. They want to make it up to the bedroom, but they're too exhausted to even get up from the couch.
Well, here's the problem. They're not going to sleep well, so when they wake up in the morning, they're still going to be exhausted. So they really didn't think that one through.
Shocking that a writer on Home Improvement wouldn't think something through.
Yeah, so that's that scene, unless you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, Jordan, you're skipping some. You're skipping some things. They're very tired. Tim makes a lot of they say the hotel was really small, so Tim makes a lot of small jokes. It kind of felt like Rodney Dangerfield sort of humor. He said that the mice were so small that they were hunchbacks, and I was like, that's funny. And they both they're doing a count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's get up, and nobody gets up, and then coming full circle. As any good screenwriter does, they're remembering earlier that Tim said he doesn't snore, and then guess what happens, Jordan?
He snores. Oh. You would know about the screenwriting thing. I've read a couple of your plays, and
yeah, man, you gotta go full circle.
So,
and that's the episode.
Well, no, there's one extra scene that you have to talk about because you made me say something about it. What
is it?
It's just It's just outtakes on Auto Week, and it's not really even worth mentioning. But
here we are,
and yet here we are because that's what we do, and that is episode 31, Roomie for Improvement. And I gotta say, it needed some improvement.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there was. I actually liked it. I didn't mind it the first time around, but then watching it a second time and talking about it, it is really boring. There's no good. It's not funny. There's no stakes or anything. So yeah, I agree with you. But
I really only enjoyed this is not really enjoyed, but just how weird Al and Wilson continue to be. Those were the only things that I don't know. The rest of it, I don't know. It just didn't do much for me. And then, the problem is it came after 2 good episodes that we enjoyed too.
Certainly, certainly two better second season episodes, right?
Yeah.
This one, it's just boring. It's Mario and Michael Andretti don't really leave much of an impact. It's sort of like the Bob Vila thing where they're not actors, so they don't. The comedic timing's not there. They're not able to do a lot. It's not really their fault, but it's just not. I don't know. It's not especially interesting. No Brad, which is is this really even an episode?
No lion shirts.
No lion shirts. That was actually okay. What else? The whole thing with it's fine. I don't know. There were no. I don't know that I got any real laughs out of this one. It's just basically Tim and Al in that apartment for the majority of the time, kind of bickering back and forth. I suppose if you had to choose one thing that was good, maybe the scene where Tim and Al kind of bond at the end was nice enough. But
we've kind of seen all of this before. I feel like.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah. There's very little happening here that we haven't seen before. So I agree with you. It was just kind of a dull one, but. What can you do?
What can you do? We'll just have to hope that next week is better. Let's see. This
is actually one of the highest IMDb rated episodes of the season.
Which just goes to show, again, you cannot really trust IMDb ratings. Because I think, was it first season, they really loved the Bob Vila episode, which we hated?
Yeah, What About Bob is one of the highest rated ones, and then For Whom the Belch Tolls is one of the lowest rated ones, so...
And that's why we're here to change.
That's why we're here
to change the conversation.
We're here to change minds and open hearts also. Because when you keep your heart open, Home Improvement will always find you.
That's true. That's true.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. Do we need to say much more about it?
No, I think we covered it.
Do you have anything positive to say about it? Must be not.
No, I don't really think so. I guess. I guess it was interesting to see how Al lives.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Now, I'm not sure it makes sense how he lives, but it was just interesting to see that explored.
How Al lives. Yeah, not bad. All right. You want to talk about social media?
Sure. Let's get social. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear how you enjoyed this episode, either us talking about it or just watching the series in general. So our website, thehomeandpodcast.com, has a couple of contact links there. And then you can email us at homeandpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/homeandpodcast. Twitter, we are at homeandpodcast. Feel free to rate and review us on iTunes, and we are always looking for support. You can do so at patreon.com/homeandpodcast or on our website at the support tab.
Yeah, man. I'll talk a little about Twitter, if that's all right.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say about Twitter.
Yeah, we actually... we got a question in the mailbag last week, so maybe we should play that jingle. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
You've got mail.
All right, this question comes from Polly Beach Sunset on Twitter, and Polly Beach Sunset asks, "At Home Podcast, does any of the set still exist?" So did some cursory research, and there was not a lot out there, but I did happen upon a thread from Quora.com where someone also asked, what happened to the set of Tool Time from Home Improvement? So this is asking about the Tool Time set specifically, but I think probably this answer sort of goes for the whole set as a whole. So the answer comes from Joel Ordesky, who's a former network-rated line producer with experience on ABC, NBC, and PBS shows. He says this: "While I have no personal knowledge, I am sure it was dismantled and disposed of. Sometimes sets are stored for short periods of time, 3 to 12 months after an initial shutdown, if there's any thought of the production coming back. However, the cost to store a set compared with the cost to recreate it from the original plans makes storing a set unrealistic." So that's the best we can do on that. I don't know.
Sounds like someone's got a little bit of Hollywood experience, I would say.
That's Joel Ordesky for you. Social Quora is also my dad's favorite website. So, fun fact. So thanks for the question, Polly Beach Sunset. Sorry we couldn't do better, but there's something for you. So it sounds like they kept it around for a little while, but probably disposed of it because there's not enough space out there. So, all right. Other things on Twitter, we got some polls here. I asked who was more of a probably dirtbag was the question. Let me find it.
I think it was who was more of a dirtbag this episode.
Who is a bigger jerk in this week's episode? So back to reality with the votes, 13 votes. 46% said Danny the Biker Bro, 54% said Curtis the Atom, and I just couldn't, this is just completely wrong. I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, I just don't understand where people are coming from.
Danny he steals Brad's girlfriend, he starts a fight right away, he calls, Jill a radish, he calls it fool time, and he tries to ruin the whole haunted house for everybody. All Curtis does is say Jill's fat. No big deal.
Yeah. There is no redeeming qualities out of Danny. Really,
people just really have a strong hatred for Curtis. But I don't agree with that necessarily. But
at least Curtis has a sweet costume.
I'll say, yeah. Also, with the polls lately, been getting some brushback on people not liking the options on the polls. And to that, I say, vote or don't. I can't retrospectively go back and add an option. So if you don't like them, vote. Don't vote, and if you do like them, please do. But I'm sorry, guys. It's polls and pulleys are just not. It's just not easy for me. So we're doing the best we can. So. All right.
Although we do appreciate the feedback.
No, not that feedback.
No, you're very selective about your feedback.
Not all feedback is equal. It's like constructive criticism. Only good in theory, I would say. But
all right. Well, here's something else that's good in theory. Let's go ahead and do the question of the week.
All right, question of the week. Jordan, what are your feelings towards racing? What are your experiences with racing? ... racing ?
Ooh, well, I remember when I was younger, we had an old NASCAR. It was like NASCAR 90 something on the computer, and I did enjoy playing that. Although I just don't really understand the sport of racing. It just it's never captured my attention. I've watched one of my very close friends, and one of your very close friends very much likes it, and I've watched a race with him before, and I it just doesn't do anything for me. So
have you ever been to anything like live?
I've never been to anything live. I don't know if that would improve anything. It might do something worse, I would imagine. I don't know, but
it's supposed to be loud.
Yeah, very loud. I just maybe you'd be in the hot sun the whole time. I don't know. It doesn't sound like my cup of tea, and I've never enjoyed it. But yeah,
have you ever tried to race your own car?
No.
Right.
Can't say I have. I do like Mario Kart though. If we're gonna go there,
might as well. Gran Turismo, that kind of thing. The racing games at like bars or arcades.
Yeah.
Racing, yeah. I mean, I think, of course, like this is at the risk of alienating audiences, but a sport. Well, who's to say? It's a skill, definitely. I couldn't do it, but I'm also not especially interested or impressed by it. I don't think I've ever been to a race. Growing up, I mean, there's that speedway in Michigan, Brooklyn Speedway, where they do quite a few things there. I've seen where the Indy 500 is from the outside. I've seen the Daytona 500 place from the outside, but I don't think I've never been in either one of them. Not of interest to me. I will say in high school, Rodney Pease and I, we raced our cars down Oak Road for a little bit, and I did win.
Oh,
so I'm 1-0 in my racing career.
And then you retired.
I retired. And kids out there, all the kids that listen, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I was young and foolish, and Rodney Pease he got the best of me that day. But I actually, I got the best of him as well. But yeah, racing is not safe unless it's Greece and you're racing for pink slips or something.
Yeah, that's when it comes down to it. I will say that same friend who does enjoy racing, he once raced when we were like, I don't know, 16 or 17, a friend next to him, and he was like rolling through the red light and started racing up M15, and there was a cop behind him.
Did he get pulled over?
He got pulled over. He got put in the back of the cop car in, I think, handcuffs maybe. And I was going to have to drive the car home.
Who was he racing?
Another friend. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name names. It's not very nice. It's not as great as your Rodney Pease story,
I got no problem naming sources on here.
I know you do.
You're I don't know why you're keeping things in. I think maybe he was racing you after all.
He was racing me, but I was in his car.
I was tuned out on the story, but yeah, logistically, sure, probably doesn't work. What are we covering next week?
Next week, we're going to be covering May the Best Man Win. Sounds a little competitive.
Yeah, I wonder who will be competing. Tim and Al? I don't know.
We'll find out next week.
Mark and Brad? I don't know. They're not really men. But
Wilson and Big Mike.
Wilson versus the Bloomfield Hills Police Department.
Uh-oh. I don't think he's going to win.
No, I don't think so either. All right. Well, Jordan, thanks for talking to me today, and I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.